if I'm not mistaken. But the
Yeah,
title will now be on the line against Fundora. Go figure. A guy gets stopped crazy the way Fundora got stopped, and his next fight is a title shot. That's almost unheard
actually,
of.
yeah, actually, it's going to be a unification title. It's the WBO and the WBC. It's a
Wow.
unification. It's so whoever wins this fight is now the unified champion at 154. They're the WBO and the WBC champion. Um, yeah, and Fandor he did get stopped badly, but if you paid attention to that fight, Fandor was winning that fight. He was winning that fight,
Yeah.
and he just got caught. But I heard somebody mention it. I'm not sure how true it is or if it's true at all. Somebody said that Fandor has got the laser eye surgery. So if that is the case, we could see Fandor fight a different style than he normally fights because the rumor was Fandor likes to fight on the inside is because he can't see that well at a distance. So if that is true and he did get the laser eye surgery, Fandor might fight a different style. He might use his reach if that is true. I don't know. Like I said, it's a rumor. I don't know if it's true or not. I heard it on somebody's live. I think it was either today or yesterday. I heard somebody talk about it. So if that is true, we could see a different style from Fandor.
That's interesting. I mean, obviously he's got the size and the distance, but can he keep that, for 12 rounds, Um, I just don't see him winning this fight. I mean, but anything can happen. I think Zoo gets him out of there by like the seventh round.
I
I
think
mean,
this is more of a more competitive fight than it would have been with Keith Thurman. I really don't think Keith Thurman had a chance in beating Tim Zoo.
not by
And for
decision. I think he could have outboxed him. You don't think
I'm
he
gonna
could
tell
have
you,
outboxed him?
I'm gonna tell you two reasons. The
Okay.
the two reasons I said I think he didn't have a chance of winning that fight is because one, he's moving up in weight. Keith Thurman never fought at 54. This will be his first fight at 54. And for
Hmm.
two, he only had one fight in 5 years. The inactivity is
Yeah.
is crazy. That man had one fight since he lost to Manny Pacquiao, and that was Mario Barrio, and he got hurt in that fight.
Yeah.
Mind you, Mario Barrio had just got stopped by Tank Davis in the fight before that. Tank
All
Davis dropped him
facts.
3 times and stopped him, and he got hurt by Mario Barrio in that fight. Now he beat Mario Barrio, but Mario Barrio was able to hurt him. And Tim Tszyu is a much bigger puncher than Mario Barrio is.
Yeah. No. All facts. You're absolutely right. I'm just trying to give Thurman a little benefit of the doubt. But because I think he can box. I think he's a good boxer. I don't think that one-time punching power is there like it used to be. He hasn't been one time in a long time. But I thought maybe he had a chance to maybe outbox Tim Tszyu. But we'll never know. I think Thurman is pretty much done at this
Yeah,
point. You
I
know.
I, I don't know. I think this got the making of an upset with this Pandora fight because it's a short notice fight,
Yeah.
and Tim Tszyu was preparing to fight somebody that was closer in his size. Now he's fighting somebody that's 6'6" with a long ass arm reach. Like I said, if Fandora can fight from mid range, and like I said, if all those rumors are true that he got the laser eye surgery and he starts to fight from long distance, that's a tall task for Tim Tszyu to be able to have to break down because that man, I believe Fandora got like a 80 something inch arm reach, and Tim Tszyu is only like I think a 70, 71 inch arm reach, so that's a major difference in the arm reach. He can hit that man from his corner. He ain't never got to leave out his corner, and he can punch Tim Tszyu from the
That's true.
corner.
It's an
So
interesting. No, I did not know this. He said let's run Barrios. He fought Barrios with 10-ounce gloves.
yeah, he fought Mario Barrio in 10-ounce gloves.
Yeah, but I mean, Thurman still hasn't been one time since I don't know when, since probably with the Collazo fight, and that Collazo fight was a weird ending because he got hurt in that fight. Collazo hurt him to the body, and then all of a sudden, next round, Collazo like quit. That was a very awkward stoppage,
I
but
mean,
that was
the
like the last
last
time we really saw
if
one time.
if I'm not mistaken, I believe the last 4 or 5 fights that Keith Thurman had, he's been hurt to the body
Yeah.
the last 4 or 5 fights. So I don't know what was going on with his body, but he's been hurt to the body the last 4 or 5 fights. And so I mean, I just didn't give him no chance of winning that fight.
Frontline says Thurman would have pulled out the Clarissa Shield fight too. That dude sneezed and pulls a muscle. Shout out to my man G5 Gabe. Thanks for coming through. My man Four Corners Boxing. That's my guy right there. He was at the fight last week. I'm gonna put one of the interviews he did partial. I filmed you doing partial of that interview, and then when it segued to me with Lawful, I'm gonna put that up in a minute. Just announced that Walsh is coming back in June. He's going to be fighting back in June and being back at the Garden here in November again. But yeah, man, I mean, it's an interesting fight. What do you think? The winner of this fight, I guess, Bud is pulling the mandatory card. He wants to fight the winner?
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing. I heard that Bud had petition to be the mandatory for the winner of this fight, which makes for an interesting negotiation because he's got to negotiate with the PBC once again. I think the PBC might try to stick it to Bud. Hey, you coming in as the mandatory? This is what the offer is. You either take it or we go to purse bid because they got 5 days to make this fight.
Yeah.
So you either take this offer or we go to purse bid. Now, if you go to purse bid, the WBO can say what the split is going to be. They could give Bud a 50-50 split, or they could say we're going to leave the split as what it is at, 65-35. Now, not only is you getting the smaller split, but you at the mercy of a purse bid. You need somebody to bid high on this fight. And 9 times out of 10, they're not going to bid high on the fight. They might be somewhere around $3 million for the fight. So you're getting a smaller bag, and you're the mandatory, and then you got to take all the terms of the champion, which Tim Tszyu could say, hey, I want to fight you in Australia. So now you're getting a smaller bag, and you got to go to Australia and fight. Or if it's Fandor can say, hey, we're going to fight in my home state. We're not fighting in your home state. We're fighting in my home country. We're not fighting where you want to fight at. So
if it's Fundora, I think Fundora's he's American, but if it's Tszyu, Tszyu could request a fight to be in Australia.
Yeah. So I don't know. He's in a kind of a pickle. He put himself into a corner.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think he could beat either guy, but you said you wasn't fighting Boots because it was a high risk and no reward. Yeah, you get the belt by beating Tim Tszyu or Fandor. But if you don't beat Tim Tszyu or Fandor, you took a lesser pay because I believe that fight would be less money than what you would have made fighting Boots. So that was the whole talk. You only fighting big money fights or big fights, which we all know big fights stands for money fight.
Yeah.
So you only fighting the big fights. So you moved up to be the mandatory to Tim Tszyu or Fandor instead of fighting Boots and potentially getting a decent bag out of fighting Boots.
That's true. I mean, but I think at this point for him, it's a career defining moment. Like there'll be another weight class he could win a title in. Maybe he's willing to do it. Maybe the money, he doesn't care about the money at this point when it comes to 154. Who knows? It's interesting. It's a big fight. I mean, I don't know how serious that fight with Eubanks is, but nobody wants to see that.
From what I heard, it's not happening.
Yeah, because nobody wants to see that. Like, it's no point. If he wins that fight, he's still not going to get the Canelo fight. I mean, I don't know, what he's doing. I think what he should do is fight Boots, right? I mean, it's a big risk for him if he fights Boots. He already undisputed at 147. It's more of a big fight for Boots than it is for Bud, in my opinion. But then take the big fights at 154. So I have no problem with him fighting the winner, but maybe, but he's gonna have to take that split, like you said, like he's gonna have to, take the lower end as the mandatory, and I think he's willing to do it. And I think they work something out depending on who who wins the purse bid, I think he'll still get paid a big fight because that no matter who it is, that's a pay-per-view fight, and especially if it's Zoo, and not Fundora,
But see,
But
that's the thing. It's a pay-per-view fight, but this is gonna be Tim Tszyu first fight on pay-per-view. Tim Tszyu hasn't been on pay-per-view. I know over in Australia he's been on pay-per-view in Australia, but in America it was free. So this is his first major pay-per-view fight, and Fandora's never been on pay-per-view, so we don't know how the pay-per-view numbers are going to do it. And by all accounts, I don't think it's going to be that high. It might be somewhere around 60,000, 150,000, somewhere around there. I don't think it's going to be that high as far as pay-per-view numbers. The biggest pay-per-view Bud ever been on was with Earl Spence.
Yeah.
And according to a lot of people, they said it wasn't what they thought it was. But from what I've been remembering from all these people was talking, everybody was talking about between 500 to 700,000 pay-per-view buys. Wasn't nobody talking about no million pay-per-view buys until Tank and Ryan did 1 million. Then everybody said, "Oh, Earl and Bud going to do 1 million pay-per-views." So, that's the only fight that he did over 150,000 pay-per-view buys. So I don't, even though it's going to be on pay-per-view with Tim Tszyu or Fundora, whoever it is, I don't think it's going to do big pay-per-view numbers.
Nah, I think if it's with Zoo, I think there's a possibility of doing big numbers. If it's in Australia, but I think these pay-per-view numbers, I think it's almost like a dead issue now. I don't think anybody can really pull big pay-per-view numbers anymore. Everybody's streaming the fights. Everybody's stealing the fights somehow. You know what I'm saying? Canelo's supposedly the big pay-per-view guy, but everybody watches his fights for free in Mexico. So pay-per-view is tough. I wonder, we still got to see how this Prime is going to work. How this PBC Prime, Amazon Prime pay-per-view is going to work. But I'm sure there's going to be a way to steal that as well. So.
Yeah, of course, it's always going to be a way to steal it. From what I've been seeing from Prime, I don't see that they missed the beat from moving from Showtime to Prime. They got their own little show with gloves off. So it's just like 24/7. So they got another show with that, and they putting on fights, and so far the cards that they have announced, the cards been on point. Those some fire cards. I mean, once the Tank Davis fight is announced, from all reports, it's supposed to be announced next week because that's fight week. So it's supposed to be announced next week. From what I've been hearing, the card that they supposed to be putting together for that Tank Davis card, that card is fire because you got David Benavidez as the co-main. I heard David Morrell's supposed to be fighting Bubu Andrade on that card. I think I heard it was supposed to be El Rayo versus De Los Santos, the rematch on that card. So that card is going to be fire. So, I mean, they haven't missed a beat. We just got to see how the production is.
Yeah. Let's go into this fight since my man Four Corners mentioned it. I mean, we got another week to the fight, so we could talk about it again next week. But, we got Cruz and Rolly. I think that's a very interesting fight. To me, I think that's a 50-50 fight. Very intrigued of this fight and what the winner does after this. I personally don't think either one is any good. I think Rolly has a little bit of skills. I think Cruz is pretty much, he's going to have his guard up and swing for the fences. I thought Cruz lost his last fight and he got a gift win. I'm actually picking Rolly in this fight, but you never know. I think we're going to see a dirty fight in this fight too as well. But I'm definitely intrigued to see what happens and what the winner does of this fight, because this is the WBO title, the WBA title. So I'm very much interested because they're going to get I think they're going to get a big fight after. The winner's going to get a big fight afterwards. So
yeah, I mean both of them in their last fight they was gifted a win. I agree. I believe Pitbull lost that fight. He was gifted that win, and Rolly had a gifted stoppage because
that's right. I forgot that was a gift. This stoppage.
Yeah, he had a gifted stoppage I mean, although he did hurt the guy. The guy still was throwing punches back. He wasn't. Rolly wasn't landing any significant punches when Tony Weeks stepped in. So um, I think it was a bad stoppage. But I I mean this fight could be the biggest the biggest WrestleMania match of all times. I think somebody's gonna get suplex. I think somebody's gonna get speared. Somebody might get thrown through a table. I think this is gonna be the biggest WrestleMania match of all time. I mean, you got
It
one
could
guy
be.
that's like,
I wonder what the trash talking is going to be. I mean, Rolly's going to always talk trash. This guy, I don't think Isaac Cruz speaks any English, but it should be. I know Isaac Cruz is working with. He was sparring a guy that I know, Arnold Gonzalez. He fought a few weeks ago in the Garden here, and Arnold weighed 150 for that fight. It was a catch weight. He fights at welterweight, so he's been. I guess Isaac is sparring bigger guys as well, because Rolly's a big guy for his weight for that weight class. So that tells me he's prepping pretty well for this fight. So very interesting.
I mean, we didn't see Rolly what we didn't see him drop like 3 times now. We saw him drop twice in a match, and we saw him drop once in sparring. Well, he was knocked out twice. He was knocked out in sparring, and he was knocked out in a match, and he was dropped in another match. So I don't know. I mean, if Pitbull catch Rolly, I don't know how Rolly reacts to that, because I've never seen Pitbull hurt. So I don't know. I mean, I would say Pitbull got a better chin than Rolly because I haven't seen Pitbull hurt yet. So we got to see if Rolly can be able to hurt Pitbull. Because I like I said, even with the Tank Davis, although Tank Davis was fighting with one hand, when he fought Tank Davis, he was never hurt in that fight. So
that's true. Yeah.
I gotta see if Rolly can hurt Pitbull.
That's true. It's interesting. This guy, he looks like, he could look like he got no neck. He look like his head is right on his shoulders. Isaac Cruz. I mean, interesting. He's always on his phone. He was on his phone in the Tank fight, most of the fight. So he wasn't getting hit much solid, blocking with his gloves. But we'll see. We'll talk. I mean, I guess we'll talk more about it next week. I know we got fights tomorrow as well. I'm going to be honest. I'm not really that intrigued because I know I'm probably not going to watch it because I'm going to be away. But we got Dalton Smith taking on Jose Zepeda. Zepeda's looking to kind of rebound, and I don't know much about this Dalton Smith guy, but I know Jose Zepeda can bang.
Yeah, I heard he's an undefeated 140-pound fighter. But I haven't seen anything from him, so I don't really know too much about him. The Jose Zepeda is coming off a bad loss. So he got a rebound. This is supposed to be a rebound fight for him. So we got to see how he look. I want to favor Jose Zepeda, and only because I don't know much about his opponent. So I can only go by what I know. Like I said, I don't know much about his opponent, so I'm a favorite Zepeda, but I'm not going to be surprised if he loses because I don't know much about his opponent.
Yeah, this guy, he's 15-0 with 11 knockouts, so that tells me he can bang a little bit. We know Zepeda can bang, but he's kind of come straight at you. He fought Richardson Hitchens his last fight. He got shut out. We know Hitchens is a really good boxer. He can move, not much power from Hitchens. He likes to move. He likes to box from the outside, and he pretty much shut him out. So maybe stylistically, from what the records are telling me, this guy, is a knockout puncher. Maybe we get a nice brawl, a nice action-packed fight. So definitely Zepeda needs this win. I think he's lost 2 of his last 3 or something like that.
Yeah, something like
that's right. He lost the Prograis. He lost the Prograis. That's right. He got stopped by Prograis. And then he got a win. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was
we know that
right before Hitchens.
He's the guy that stopped.
I mean Hitchens. That was the fight right before Hitchens.
No, he had he had a fight. He won after he fought Regis. He fought somebody.
Oh, it was a fight.
Somebody not name. Yeah, he won a decision. Yeah. So that's why 2 of his last 3 he lost. He had a win. He won a unanimous decision against somebody I never heard of. These guys are roasting each other in the chat. It's hard to concentrate. These guys are funny as hell.
Yeah,
I never thought
going at
A1 and Mr. Shelton go at it, and then Frontline, of course, has to get in there. These guys are killing me.
Is A1 Shelton and Frontline going at it?
He says, "Tell D Free we're looking at the chat, man. We're trying not to laugh. You guys are stupid." Oh man, but yeah. But let's talk about the announcement today. That's one of the things I really wanted to talk about that we just heard. It looks like Deontay Wilder is going to come back. He's going to take a fight, and he's going to fight Zhilei Zhang. Looks like they're saying June is supposed to be in the card with the Beterbiev and Bivol fight in Saudi. And I think in that card, maybe Herkovic and Dubois might be on that card as well. If that's all true, that's a dope card right there. Those 3 fights alone is dope.
Yeah, that's a good
Oh,
card.
shit. Look at Sock in the chat. Out of nowhere. From the Jesus. Came out of nowhere with the steel chair. Wow. But go ahead, D Free. I'm sorry. This is Sock. That's Sock, Shelton. That's Sock.
I don't like this fight for Deontay Wilder. Me personally, I really believe Deontay Wilder need to go ahead and hang it up. That last fight, and it very well could be the ring rust. His timing was off or whatever, but I didn't see anything to say, okay, Deontay Wilder can continue on a high level in the sport of boxing. And we know Big Bang Zhang is going to come in there and he's going to try to knock you out. I don't know if Deontay Wilder has it anymore, and I hate to say that because I like Deontay Wilder. I'm a supporter of Deontay Wilder. I'm always going to support his fights, but I really believe that at the age of 38, 39, I think it's time for him to hang it up because I don't want to see somebody who did so much for the sport of boxing to go out on a bad note. I'd rather him go out on his own merits and say, you know what, I did what all I can do. I tried to give the fans what they wanted. It's time for me to hang it up. That's how I like to see great fighters go out. I don't want to see him get beat up and he was forced out of the sport of boxing. I like them to go out on their own merits. So I don't know if this is a good fight for Deontay Wilder.
I want to disagree with you a little bit, and I'm gonna tell you why. Only because of Tay Jones. So I'm gonna be a little bit biased here because of Tay Jones. Hold on one second. My man Rich Mancuso. Welcome, Rich. How you doing, Rich?
Hey, Thomas. How are you tonight? How's everybody?
What's going
hanging
on?
in there. We just started to talk about the announcement where Wilder's going to fight Zhilei Zhang.
Yeah.
D Free above, he says that he doesn't like this fight for Wilder. He thinks Wilder should just give it up right now and kind of retire because of the way he looked. And I'm about to say I feel different because I from what Tay Jones, which is he's in his camp, was saying he's been training, he's been working out the last couple of months. I know he just fought. He did 12 rounds in December.
Yeah,
he didn't look good, and this is this is the most active he's been in years. So if he takes this fight and it's this June, I would give him another shot. I'll see how he looks. Zhilei Zhang didn't look that good either. Only
I know. That's like Parker. Yeah.
But after that, he was gassed.
And I saw it. I saw it come off this evening, and I was surprised to see this fight being made. And I didn't think Deontay Wilder really was going to take another fight based off his last fight. I thought that was it for him. I thought that the way he was talking, that boxing been good to him, made a lot of money, and I just kind of felt that was a swan song. But you know how Thomas, guys, how fighters are. They have it in their blood. They always feel that they still got something left after a loss, especially. And Deontay might, I still think he'd be viable in the division. I don't think he'll be a champion again, but I think he's still viable. And that, look, I think, this fight definitely going off that he wins it. I think he'll win it. But it'll be a tough one, though. Because look, no underestimate his right. You
Yeah.
know, that's my thing about him. You can't underestimate him. And Zhang is no slouch. We know that. In this case, styles make fights. No, I don't see that in this one. But I could see Deontay hitting him with a right, and maybe ending it where it's got to be.
I agree. And remember, Zhang is 40, pushing 41.
Mm-hmm.
I know Deontay's 38, but Zhang, if both of them did not look good against the same guy. They got a common opponent in the last fight.
Right.
Parker looked good against both of them.
Yeah.
I think Parker got dropped twice. But Zhang looked gassed. I mean, if he comes in that shape again, I see Wilder stopping him in like 5 or 6
Exactly. See, you beat me to the point, Thomas. I agree with you on that. And I'm not impressed with Zhang. I never was. Might be a big guy and he could be powerful, but a lot of his floors came out with Joseph Parker.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia. A lot of his floors came out. And look, Parker's not he's in that mix now, but he's not a one of these heavyweights that you could say is championship material. The way I look at it, but Zhang never impressed me. I think he was overhyped.
Well, I think he got the 2 fights with Joyce, who to me I thought Joyce was overhyped, but he did look good against the Herkovic fight, which he lost, but I thought he won the fight. That was probably the most impressive for me, boxing wise. I thought he outboxed him. I thought he had the better shots. I thought he won the fight clear. The Joy Joyce to me, I thought he was an overhyped guy, an overhyped UK guy.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think Joyce also, there's a fight in the making with him. I saw that come across tonight.
Yeah, he fought. I think he fought a few days ago, actually.
Yeah. But he's in the mix now. Oh, like I said on my program this week, the heavyweight division has become interesting all of a sudden. And you have a lot of guys vying for something, but the title's going to be, for grabs right now, just with Fury and Usyk to unify. Assume it goes off in mid-May, and then a rematch with the 2 of them. So anybody waiting in line is, if there's a rematch, assume there will be. If they have one, everyone's got to wait in line. That's the problem with heavyweight division.
Well, if there is a rematch, the IBF will be up for grabs because the IBF is not. They don't do rematches. So at least there'll be another title.
But that still brings up the point that division can never be unified. There's always something. And in my era, the last 20 years, that's all it's been about, except for Klitschko's holding reign and Lennox Lewis a bit, but you can never have a unified champion in that division, and that's part of boxing's problem that I always discuss with you and everyone, Tom. The problem is that we don't have a unified heavyweight champion, which was always the face of the sport. Now we talk about Canelo Alvarez being the face of the sport at 168. And until he's beaten, he is the face of the sport, in my opinion.
You think so?
Yeah.
Even after him admitting that, well, he didn't admit it, that he was ducking, but it sounded like he's ducking Benavidez. Like,
he's wrong. He should fight Benitez. He's avoiding him. It's obvious. And now he comes out with this ridiculous thing about what was the figure he came up with again for a purse?
150 to 200 million.
That's ridiculous. That's Canelo Alvarez because he can say what he wants in the sport. He can do what he wants in the sport and fight who he wants in the sport. And because everything is he's marketable and brings in all that money. And he can decide whether he wants to be with the Zone or with the PBC, Matchroom, whatever. He can do what he wants. He's a unified champion. He's made a lot of money, and he'll do what he wants. And wherever he goes, they want him.
Yeah,
because he generates a lot of revenue. And in this sport today, that's what it's all about, revenue and how much a fighter can give you.
So do you think this fight will sell with him and Munguia? You think that's going to be a big?
Oh yeah.
You think so?
I think it will. It's a natural. Canelo always sells, But Munguia has tremendous popularity, and the fact that you have two Mexican warriors going at it. And it's more than so a fight for boxing. They're playing it up as a fight for Mexican pride among fighters who seem to have a hold on a lot of boxing right now in the divisions as far as fighters that are rated and champions. And these two are very marketable to make this fight very profitable. And, you know, you're talking again, Canelo Alvarez, no matter what, as critics he might have, he has a lot of supporters as well and a big fan base, and it will sell. It'll be a fight that will sell on Cinco de Mayo weekend, and to me, a great fight. We know what Munguia can do. He fights in close, which I love, and he's also got some power behind him, plus the great footwork, the way he is. And Canelo, we know what he can do. The body puncher. But I don't think that fight is going to end up being an early ending. I really do believe it's going to go the distance. Okay. Who will win it yet? Look, Canelo's got the gain on that, more experience and everything else. But noticeable about Canelo Alvarez, his skills might have diminished a bit.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in his last few fights. And, you know, I think he's smart. Not only in the ring, but as a businessman himself with the sport. And why he's not fighting Ben Benitez, to go back to what we were talking about, Tom, well, it's obvious. You know, he's avoiding him. Yeah. And he wouldn't even fight him at light heavyweight as well. You know, look, he won't fight Dimitri Bivol again either because he knows he'd lose that fight. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. I only thing I disagree with is I don't think Munguia is as good as advertised. I don't think he's that good. I think he's going to get stopped. I mean, he gets hit too much. I think Canelo's going to stop him. I think he'll be game. I think he's going to come. I think he is a warrior, but I think he gets hit too much, and I think Canelo's going to stop him. I think Canelo needs to stop him also. I think he needs to.
He needs to, but also if Munguia, who likes to fight in close, can keep X like that in that range with his power, he'll stay with it. And I think it's going to be not a nasty fight, a good fight. And they respect each other in all ends, their ability. Munguia looked up to him growing up into the sport, and Canelo respects him as well. We saw that at the press conference this week. But I think what you're going to see is a fight that will be very close. I don't see either guy getting the knockout. I'm looking right now at that fight going the distance and very close as well. If three blind mice score it right, whoever they be, those three judges, it's going to be close.
Okay. I want to talk about, we mentioned last week's fights earlier on, but I was waiting for you to come on because you know Freddie, and I personally, you know, watching Kalen Walsh, I think he's better than what he's shown. But me personally, I don't think Freddie Roach is the guy for Kalen. What do you think? What do you think it is? You think Freddie is good for Kalen?
Oh yeah. I as busy as Freddie is, and we know what he did with Pacquiao and all his other fighters, and he devotes his time. I don't know how they do that. Trainers in the sport, how they can train multiple fighters for major fights in the same time period, but they end up doing it. But yeah, I think Freddie knows how to teach, and Freddie knows how to groom a youngster in the sport, and we've seen that over his Hall of Fame career in the corner, in the gym. I think for the moment, this is the right guy for Kaleem. I wasn't impressed with him at the Garden last Friday night, Thomas. You heard me say that.
Yeah.
And when we talked to the promoter, Thomas Lofer, with the UFC Fight Pass and 360 Promotions, he also said, and he commented to me one-on-one, that he's got a lot more to do, you know, and he saw that. There were flaws in him against an opponent that gave him a tough time, the Mexican. I forgot his name. He'll lose me right now. The one thing about this kid that I like is he stays with it. Yeah. And me staying with it over the years, observing boxing all these years as I have, he can come right back at you after taking a punch. He might be deliberate a little bit in his approach, but then he comes right back at you. I think the kid's got a lot of potential. Even though he's undefeated at 10-0, he still has a lot to learn. He hasn't been in there really with the upper echelon as of yet. And he will get groomed to be there under Freddie Roach. He's the guy and the right guy for him in the corner.
Okay. I mean, we'll see. The thing with Caleb is, as a southpaw and the jab that he has, I think he has a good jab. I think he doesn't show range. And I don't think he's as disciplined as maybe Freddie would like him to be. And the reason is a couple reasons I say this. One, before the fight in November against Maelo Villarreal, he said he was supposed to watch some tape, and he was quoted as saying, "I don't need to watch no effing tape. I'm stopping this guy."
Yeah. Which hurt him, because I thought Villarreal won that fight.
I thought so too. I thought he won, or it could have been a draw. Definitely. Yeah. And then second,
and learned from it, maybe not. I talked to Villarreal about it many times, and he wants to rematch him. He wants him again because he feels that he can beat him. And if he wants to do that, and they want to do it, he's going to have to fight him real soon, because the kid can only get better. Yeah.
No, definitely. And the thing with that, in that fight, you saw Caleb get hit a lot, especially in the second half of the fight. Now, before that fight, he never passed, I think, 6 rounds or maybe 8 rounds, maybe at best. So that was his first 10-rounder. He went to scissor, and he tired pretty much in the second half of the fight. And then this fight, he looked better, but he was still getting hit way too much. And he fought a guy that really didn't punch, as hard as maybe Ishmael did, because Maelo hit him with some solid punches, and you can tell he hurt him a few times. So
Very solid.
I think the discipline, he has to work on the discipline. Now, the one good thing about Freddie, of having Freddie as a coach, is you get to fight in that stable, and you're going to get good sparring, because you're sparring a lot of other top-notch guys. Right. I think that's always a plus. But I guess time will tell. I don't know. I don't think Freddie may be the guy. If you think so, then I'll go with you know him more than I do. But
no,
I would like to see a little bit more discipline, maybe box a little more. He tends to want to brawl more than he wants to box. And you can't do that, especially at that division.
No, but in the history of the sport, if you have an experienced, renowned trainer like Freddie Roach guiding a youngster coming up, as he's doing right now with Colum, that will not hurt that kid. Because Freddie is very quiet in his approach, what he does in the gym with his fighters. I know that. And he did tell me that he's seen some things that Colum has to improve on. And we saw that last Friday night in the Garden. There were things he has to improve on. I think his footwork is excellent. And you always hear me talk about that in boxing with a fighter, the footwork. It is so vital and important for a fighter to have excellent footwork, especially southpaw, coming out of that stance and whatever. That footwork is a key, because you can get your power out of that footwork. And I've seen fighters over the years in the gyms working on that footwork and conditioning to do that. And there's one thing about this kid that I like is his footwork. I don't see the speed yet. And I think that's something that Freddie Roach is going to let him improve on as he moves on in his career. But he is, to me, Thomas, the right guy for him.
Yeah,
I've never heard a fighter in all the years around Freddie Roach say that he wasn't their guy. Mm-hmm. Now, this kid, we didn't ask him about that. I didn't come out and ask him that. I don't know if you did or anyone else did Friday night last week. But I've never heard a fighter say that Freddie Roach was the wrong one for them. I think he's in the right direction with Freddie Roach.
Well, I don't think he's going to say that. I mean, that's his trainer, and he's 10-0. I don't think he's going to say that. And I would
later on he will.
I don't think I would ask him.
Maybe later on. Yeah, because you see, I mean, we've seen that those changes. Miguel Cotto changed trainers. Felix Trinidad did over the years. The history of the sport, a lot of fighters will do that, but not in a young part of their careers. They tend to do it as they progress, whether it's an ego clash or a different type of style, or someone gets in their ear. Who knows? But right now for Callum Smith, it's working with Freddie Roach, and I think it will continue from here on in until further notice.
I would like you mentioned the speed. I would like him to like set up his punches more. He seems to, always try to take big shots. He's throwing wild hooks, wild not haymakers, but mostly wild hooks, and he's swinging and missing a lot. He
like
needs
to see him.
up more.
You know what I'd like to see him do also, Thomas, better, because I'm not impressed with him right now. You and I talked about it, and I told you that after the fight. Mm-hmm. I'd like him to see go to body more, and he's not doing that enough. Yeah. And you score, not only that, that'll hurt your opponent. It'll also score points on the judges' scorecards. You can connect to the body. That's what's made Canelo such a great fighter he became. Going to the body. There's so many fighters in the history of this sport. Going to the body. Those body punches have been so effective, scoring points and can labor a lot of punishment on the opponent. So,
Socrates, that's Bronx Bond, that's Socrates.
Where is he?
Up too much.
Where is he? Where is Socrates?
He's running late. I think his wife is working late, he said, so he's can't.
Okay.
He's with his son, and his son,
But that's my perspective on that, on the kid, and I just feel he's got a lot more to learn before he gets to the top. He's 10-0, but he hasn't fought anybody yet, and it's going to take some time before he does. And Freddie Roach is there to make a lot of those decisions for Tom Loeffler and Dana White. That's part of Dana White. So,
D Free, I know you spoke about it. You got anything to add to this about Caleb?
Oh no. I mean, he hit all the points that I thought about as well. I mean, he got a lot to still learn. When a guy's 10-0, you expect to see some holes in his game. But that's where you need to improve at. That's what you need to work on. So yeah, I mean, he hit on pretty much everything that we were talking about earlier.
Took a break during a vigorous round of okay. I wanted to change the subjects a little bit because we've been talking boxing for about an hour, and I wanted to ask you about your opinion with the Wilder, and of course with Caleb Smith. Caleb Walsh, sorry, not Caleb Smith, Caleb Walsh.
No, I make that mistake a lot, Tom.
Because we all think that Caleb.
I make more than that. Not only that mistake, I make a lot of them. Part of me getting older. on my YouTube show, I mean, after I watch it and I realize, and this, it happens to anyone doing a live broadcast or whatever, but. Yeah, I watch it afterwards. I said, "What did I say that?" I mean, I made a mistake. It just happens because you're just talking, right away.
Yeah.
I don't make too many of them. I'm bad with names. I'll be first to pronounce these names. I'm glad I'm not a hockey announcer. I could never do that.
Oh my God, forget about it. But yeah, I wanted to move over because I don't want to spend too much time tonight because I got to get up early. But I wanted to move to talk a little bit baseball.
Mm-hmm.
The season started, which is weird. I hate when they do this.
It's horrible.
Games and
that's not opening day. That's horrible.
Yeah, opening day is next Thursday.
Yeah, opening day should be a standard for everyone. It should be in Cincinnati, traditional like they always did. But no, Major League Baseball's gone international, and it's all about the money. So yeah,
it's all about the money. And what did you think about that? What was it? Is he Japanese or he's a Korean? The pitcher that everybody was trying to get in his debut, he got lit up like a White House Christmas tree.
Oh, Yamamoto.
He got lit.
Well, he didn't have a good spring either. So
a lot of teams were looking to sign him, including your Mets.
I know. You can't go on one opening day start to determine what type of season he's going to have, because the reports were also that his cutter was pretty effective as well as his curveball. The fastball was the issue, and that might be the issue. The other thing to consider is this, that, not like Corey Seager did with the Mets last year, you're transforming from pitching in Japan to Major League Baseball. The mound is different. The ball is much different.
The size is different. Yeah.
Yes. Now, I'm not making any excuses for him. I mean, that could be it. But he had a bad day at the office, as they say, for a pitcher in his debut in the major leagues. He's better than that, much better than that. Now, as we go into April, as the season progresses in April, and he continually does this, then we'll say that, coming in Japan, he was good, but here he can't do it. And the Dodgers spent a lot of money on him. So you can't base that one outing on opening night or the second day of how good he can be. The scouts have told me that he will have his moments because of adapting to the Major League Baseball level. Now, Corey Seager didn't start out so great last year in his debut with the Mets coming out of Japan, but then he adjusted.
Yeah.
And I think this kid, from what I'm hearing, is a good pitcher that can adjust, and that very well may happen to him. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, that first outing's in the books.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens in 5 days when he's on the mound again, or 6, whatever it is.
All right, and we're going to stay on topic, and we're going to stay on the Dodgers. Obviously, the big news now is the gambling scandal. What do you think about that? Is that you think that's legit? Do you think it really is the interpreter, or is the interpreter just fall?
The interpreter, who's a good friend of his, and the story about Ohtani not knowing anything about the gambling and all that stuff. Now, I don't know if I can buy that. And that's up now to Major League Baseball. They're into it now. They're investigating. I think it has serious implications on Ohtani right now. It's hurting his image tremendously right now in the beginning of this. And he's being protected by the Dodgers publicity department now. And Major League Baseball is probably going to say, it's got to be hush on this now that there's an investigation, because their protocols with this are very, very strict when talking to media about it. And Ohtani's not going to comment about it. So his image right now, not the greatest. Of course, the highest paid player in the game, supposedly, if you incur his salary, the way he did it, everything. But also, there's more to this. And that's what we have to look at. That's what Major League Baseball will determine. At some point, Ohtani is going to have to come out and say what really happened. That's his best friend, the interpreter, who, by the way, not a very nice guy. I had dealings in all the media guys last year with him, with the Angels, and he was not a very receptive guy, not a good guy to deal with. But I really do think in the end, Ohtani's image will continually be damaged, and I don't buy that he knew nothing about what was going on. I believe Ohtani knew where that money was going. And if that be the case through Major League Baseball's investigation, well, a tarnished career.
Yeah.
There's more to it, and we're going to find out as we go along. I can't implicate. I can't say that I know, because I don't. And I'm not going to implicate anyone, but all signs are pointing towards Ohtani had to know what his best friend and interpreter did with all that money that was exchanged.
I 1,000% agree with
that. And it also brings up another point about, and not so much this case being a center of it, but it does revolve around it, because sports gambling has opened up a Pandora's box, and not only affecting people's lives socially, the people betting on games like the NCAA tournament right now, record numbers of gamblers and people online gambling that's in all the states, just about 30 of them, I believe. It brings up a point about, why did Major League Baseball get into DraftKings and all the other guys?
That's true.
And with this coming out with Ohtani now, if you see on social media, and I'm going to write about it next week, Pete Rose, implicated for gambling on his own team, banned from baseball and the Hall of Fame. And Pete Rose is not in the Hall of Fame. Forget about him being involved in a game. That's far gone right now. You got to put the all-time hits leader in the Hall of Fame. I've been calling for that for years. A lot of people have, fans, supporters of Pete, and the media. Whereas you have now gambling that Major League Baseball reinforces and supports. and Pete Rose is not in the Hall of Fame. Shame on MLB.
Yeah.
Shame on Bob Manfred, the commissioner, the late Bart Giamatti. Everyone involved has kept Pete Rose in the closet. Wrong. And the Ohtani thing opens up that question now as well, Tom.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just so interested to see what is Major League Baseball going to do. Are they really going to hold Ohtani accountable, or are they going to really let this guy be the scapegoat and let this guy?
That's for their investigators to determine. They have some of the top level investigators. They, when gambling implications come up, whether it be him or through his interpreter, his best friend, they're involved in it, and that they will determine. They'll get to the meat of the matter, as they say, and in due time, we'll find out the true story. And Ohtani is going to have to speak and tell the truth.
Yep, absolutely. D Free, I don't know if you've been following. I know you're my boxing specialist here, but have you been following anything with the Ohtani issue with the in baseball?
No. I'm not that big on baseball. I follow it to a certain extent, but no, I haven't heard anything about the story.
Okay. Yeah, I want to give you a chance to speak. D Free, just to let you know, Rich, he's more boxing. He took basketball, football. Definitely, he's big time football.
Well, that's fine. We all have our niche and specialties. Like my expertise supposedly is boxing and baseball and soccer right now. My NBA knowledge is not where it used to be, though I covered the NBA and the NFL and everything earlier in my career. So it's a lot of part of my career now. It's been specialty and my passion of boxing and baseball. So it's no apologies to render there. D, we all have our specialties. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, my baseball is not as good as it used to be. So
yeah, I mean, I just wanted to tell my man Thomas, you're welcome. I gave you a nice quarterback. You're welcome.
We're going to be talking about the draft, but thank you. I mean, we got, as a Seahawks fan, let's see how he does. I don't think he's going to come into the start. I would hope that they have them compete with Geno. He's still young enough to be a good quarterback in the league. So I like the trade. The only thing I don't like is the fact that I really wanted Seattle to draft Penix. But I don't think that's going to happen now. I think they got their two.
Well, you know what blew my mind in the NFL was the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback situation, and how they gave up on Kenny Pickett so fast. Because I watched him a lot in college and his first couple of years with the Steelers, and they gave up on him too fast. There's something there too we don't know about.
I didn't understand that one.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't think Pickett was that good, to be honest, but they did have some problems, especially with the receiver. Pickens was a problem there this season too. So I don't know that it is weird that they kind of gave up on him so quickly, and I
think that would have been the best situation for Pickens, because you bring in Russell Wilson, and that's a veteran. He can learn behind him. A great mind in the sport of football.
I agree.
Learn behind him,
just like they were doing with Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson here in New York. But my own concern there in the NFL is the Arizona Cardinals. That's the team I root for, and they're hoping that Kyle Murray comes back next year and has a strong season, and that the Cardinals have a good draft. And I hear that they're already lining up a couple of good draft choices from what I've been reading. I mean, I don't talk to anyone in the NFL, not like I used to. So I just hope the Cardinals have a good draft and that Kyle Murray can be Kyle Murray that he was a few years ago, and that the Cardinals rebound, because I will not suffer another season like I just had again.
Well, you're in a tough division because Seattle supposedly getting better, new coaching staff. The Rams gotten better, but it was kind of good to see that this guy retired for the Rams.
Thomas, have you in the last 2 weeks when free agency opened, I can't keep track of who went where and when. Who went where, because it's so many.
Yeah.
And the numbers, the salaries that they're getting, it blows my mind. Well, it epitomizes where the NFL is financially and also sports in general with all the money floating around. And we're doing something wrong here.
Well, I'm not
Yeah,
athletic
I
enough
mean,
to be in the NFL, so maybe
yeah,
D free had a spot.
Washington. I think Washington. I think we signed like 22 or 23 free agents. I was like,
I
they
can't.
went out and
You need a
yeah, I mean, they
scorecard.
put.
You need a scorecard. You can't tell who went where.
Well,
Yeah,
he keep track of his team. He's a Commanders fan, so they did a lot of signing. They got my
Well,
guy
yeah.
Bobby Wagner.
Well, they had to do better. They had to.
yeah.
They've been such a free for all, and they need a new stadium too. I think they're talking about getting a new stadium there as well.
Yeah, well, we're in the process of getting a new stadium now. They just they're trying to figure out where the location is going to be at in Virginia because
I don't know
what it
where.
looks like it's going to be.
I
It looks like
heard.
it's going to be in Virginia, but they trying to figure out where in Virginia they're going to put it at.
Yeah. Well, they did, but they did make some good moves to improve themselves in that division in the conference. But my only concern again is the Arizona Cardinals. I just want them to draft right. Kyle Murray come back. We need another Larry Fitzgerald in the wide spot so they can target a guy like that and go in the end zone. I'm suffering from that team the last few years, and I used to be a Cleveland Browns fan too. One time,
wow,
that I left them when Art Modell sold everyone out.
D free, who you guys looking to be quarterback?
I don't know.
No, the Commanders. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think they might get Jalen Daniels, but I don't know. They might end up getting Caleb Williams because from what I've been hearing, Caleb Williams don't want to go to Chicago. He didn't go to their the pro day for them, and he said from the reports or the rumors of the report is he's going to demand a trade if he gets drafted by the Chicago Bears. So I don't know.
That's crazy.
I mean,
these guys come into the league and wanted to. I hate that.
And why did the Bears give up on Justin Fields like that too? One of the improving quarterbacks, in my opinion. I'm not a football expert, but I observed the game. I watch it.
Yeah. I mean, well, I know why Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams wants to come to Washington because one, we got his head coach as our offensive coordinator, and two, he's from the DMV area. So I think that's one of the reasons. I mean, that's two of the reasons why I think he wants to come to Washington. Me personally, I don't care. I don't really care who we get. I think Caleb Williams is the best quarterback in the draft, but it really doesn't matter between the top three quarterbacks who we get because I think with the offensive coordinator that we have and with the coaching staff we have, I think whoever we get as a quarterback, I think we'll be a lot better than what we've been in the past.
But one of your weaknesses is been the offensive line too. You need to protect the quarterback.
Oh, I mean that's why we did what we did in the free agency because now we can go to the draft instead of going in and trying to fill all these holes that we had. We already did that in free agency, so now we can go there and get what we want instead of getting a bunch of stuff that we need.
I got you. Yeah. See, like I haven't followed much of the signings. I know that Washington has made a lot of signings, but I didn't know if you guys got. I know you got some defensive players, but I didn't know you got some offensive linemen as well. So that's huge because that was the big thing that y'all needed with for the QB. Now he's going to Seattle where offensive line is not as good either. So
because right now it's only actually two positions that we need right now, and that's right tackle and left tackle. And then though we got the first round, we got the second first round pick, we got 2 picks in the second round. Thanks to Seattle, 2 high picks in the second round, and then we got 3 picks in the third round. So we got some early picks where we can get get some good players for the 2 positions that we need on the offensive line and still be able to get some other stuff that we want.
Yeah. What's the overall?
He's he's a real Commanders fan, isn't he?
He's big time. Yeah.
Do you still call them the Redskins? So some fans still call them the Redskins.
Yeah, they still call them the Redskins, but I mean, I'm always look at them as the Redskins because I've been a fan of them since I was born. So I've been a fan of Washington for 48 years. I was born here, and my whole family is Washington Redskins fans. So they will always be the Redskins to me because they was the Redskins even when they was in Boston. So they will always be the Redskins to me.
Spoken as a true fan, I like that. So, but
D-Free's legit. He's a legit.
Yeah. Second roof fan. We have to sit down and have a couple of drinks. We'll talk. We'll talk it up.
I'm trying to get D-Free to come to New York to watch one of the fights. So far, the next one I think is June. I emailed you earlier. I think they're gonna have Top Rank's gonna have a card in June. I just don't know what the main event's going to be. So,
well, probably Xander Zayas if it works out for sure. That's
but I don't know if he's main. I don't know if he's a main event guy yet.
No, he's not. But he'd be on that card.
Yeah. No, he'll definitely be on that card. I think
that would be an interesting night of boxing too, because you got Beterbiev and Bivol, and then the Deontay Wilder now in Saudi Arabia too.
If it's that day, because that's the first. I think that's supposed to be June 1st.
June 1st, but
June 1st, yeah, and then June 8th is in the Garden.
June will be busy, yeah. June looks like a busy month, usually is for the sport, and that's the high baseball season going on for me as well. So that'll be, that'll be.
Clarence thinks Shushu will be on. Bruce Clarence will be back. Yeah, so that'll be dope.
Oh yeah. That's right. I did hear about that. Yeah, Shushu might be on that card too.
And I heard maybe Ofacio may be on it as well.
Yeah, they stack it up for the Puerto Rican weekend parade and put it in the theater. They put Xander Zayas in there. It's a sellout automatically with all his fans here in New York. So.
Oh yeah, well the last one it was Teofimo and Taylor, but Xander was on the undercard and it was in the theater. So that one filled up. I mean, there was like a few.
Teofimo can't sell out the main arena though.
No, he cannot. That's why they had him in the theater.
They have it in there. Yeah. He can sell it out. Yeah. But boxing, it's an interesting next few months. And I keep talking on my program and writing about it. And we talk about it, Tom. Will Ryan Garcia make it to April 20th? That's the question.
That's what I wanted to ask you too. I told Dee that you was gonna you said something. You said Ryan has to go through some type of testing to make sure he could fight.
Yeah, he reported it, and then I was able to confirm it with the New York State Athletic Commission. They are going to mandate that he take a psychological testing exam, which is not protocol with the Athletic Commission. They do all the other physical evaluations, and they also do an MRI and the brain scans and all that stuff. But psychological testing, I never heard of that before. And supposedly Ryan on his social media said, let them do it, with his obscenities and stuff. I'll sue them. Wow. Now, can they get away with doing something like this? Is it in the commission bylaws? From what I'm able to gather so far, no, they don't have that as a mandatory part of a fighter getting in the ring in New York State. So, or any combat sport. So I got to check more into that.
Okay.
But supposedly that Ryan Garcia knows what they've said, and someone at the Athletic Commission told me that definitely is the word right now, but it's not a mandated protocol for their standards in New York State. So I have to check more into that.
Or into Gabe, that's not true. I posted the link in the chat. They've just been making jokes all throughout the chat. The link is there. You could have came up. I'll post it again if you want to come through. That's not true. Don't make me feel bad. DP knows his football stuff. Yeah, I say that's not true. I had the link in the chat early, bro. Real quick, Frontline. Matias is going to fight in Puerto Rico. He's going to fight Liam Paro, so he won't be able to fight.
To that.
Yeah, that's going to be in Puerto Rico, and
I
don't know, May or June.
Yeah, Eddie Hearn with Matias, he scored a big winner with him. Yeah,
that's big. I just hope
that kid is relatively unknown what he can do.
Liam
And now,
Powell?
no, Matthias.
Yeah, but that's the thing, Rich. He's not a kid. He's in his 30s already.
Yeah, I know, but I call them kids.
He needs a big fight. I mean, after this fight with Powell,
he's going to get them now. He's with Eddie Hearn. He's got to
Yeah.
he's got to hold in this business right now.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, if he wins this fight, I think if he beats Powell, I think he gets Haney next. Because I don't think Haney's losing to Garcia. Haney's beating Garcia. We just don't know how he's going to beat Garcia.
But here's the thing now. You've got Teofimo still, but you have also Shakur Stevenson talking now and Gervonta talking. A lot of shit.
That's what they're doing. That's all everybody's doing is talking. The only one that's looking to
social
fight.
media. In my era, you didn't have this. Fights were made by the promoters. We didn't know until it was announced.
That's true.
Fighters weren't making fights. It was all you had to wait and you had to make a phone call to find out if it was happening or not until they officially announced it. And they had grand and elaborate press conferences in New York City at the old Roosevelt Hotel, which is now the home of the migrants. They did all those press conferences. Don King and Bob Arum were the two major guys. And we would find out then when the fights were. But now everything that we find out is on social media. They talk, and then a fight is made and it's discussed. And I'll tell you, on WFAN last weekend with Ricky Ricardo, like at 2:00 in the morning, if people heard that segment, he's asking me about the sport of boxing. He's asking me, Rich, is it boxing is dead? And I told him it might be dead to fans that don't follow the sport.
Mm-hmm.
And it's dead to fans that, that know nothing about the sport. But to us who follow the sport or in the sport, cover it, it's not dead. There's news every day. Fights are being made. It's the fans that want to gear to get into the sport. And those are the novice fans that I call that only come out for the big fights. Like Garcia Henny is going to get a lot of attention. It already has, and will get more. And will gear in the novice boxing fan that knows nothing about the sport. They're only going because they know about the buzz and the hype. But as I told Ricky Ricardo, the sport is not dead. You got all the streaming networks. That's a flaw with the system. Too many sanction organizations, alphabet soup. I always say it's a flaw with the sport. But by no means is this sport dead. And look, we're talking about it. There were millions of shows on YouTube and other social media platforms devoted to the sport. We just don't get boxing doesn't get the acclaim it used to get in my era, where it was a newspaper and a back page headline. In some point, a front page headline. And when Muhammad Ali fought Joe Frazier in the epic fights, right? That was front page news in all the New York newspapers from out of Madison Square Garden. I remember as a young man sitting in a classroom, and the teacher brought in a headline of the Daily News front page, Ali Frazier. That's how big it was back then. Now, because of social media and the sport doesn't get that type of acclaim, but it's not dead. I tell everyone that because you don't know the sport. You're not in the sport. Boxing needs to draw in that fan again, and they're not been able to do it because of all the politics that goes on, the controversial decisions, all the this, that, the controversy. They don't believe in it no more. And go back to what we initially discussed, Thomas. The heavyweight division was always the face of the sport.
Yes.
Always. But it's not unified, and that's important. And the one person that you talk about in boxing, the questions I always get, well, besides Ryan Garcia, is Canelo Alvarez, who to me is the face of the sport because he draws in money and any type of new fan that wants to come into the sport. Retention of getting those novice boxing fans is an issue. And I don't think anyone is going to be able to do that. It has to just be where it is right now and accept it. But again, the sport is not dead.
No, it's not dead. It's like you said, it's not dead to guys like us that love boxing and follow it and fans of boxing,
Yeah.
and we're not casuals. Like we go to
No.
the fights, we watch almost every week the fights, and we're following what's going on in the social media as well.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, this is the new way of journalism is really pretty
That's
much
what it
social
is.
media.
That's
So
what it is. I mean, I don't even know. You again at ringside the other night at the Garden. I told you I don't know who these people are. I was sitting with two veterans, Randy Gordon,
yeah,
who used to be a commissioner of New York State Athletic Commission and has a show on Sirius XM radio. He's a veteran. He's been around as long as I have. And Thomas Hauser as well, a renowned author of the sport in numerous books. Those are the two guys, the only ones that I recognize. And maybe one or two of the younger guys that have blogs or whatever they do or write one of the sites. It used to be a fraternity of writers, in my bracket, they've either passed on or retired because there's no need for us dinosaurs no more. So, it's changed completely. And nothing's involved with media coverage of it, but with the fans, the demographics, totally different. It's a younger audience more than anything else. It depends on ticket sales of those fighters. And it also, revolves around the fighter with the name that creates the buzz. And who is that right now? Right? Ryan?
Well, yeah, in New York, it's not, I think Shushu Carrington, I think he's pretty much the next guy up, as far as New York. Teofimo, he's not really selling out. I mean, they gave him the opportunity. He's not selling out.
No, he's not. He may, unless he fights a Devin Haney, he may not even be a pay-per-view guy no more.
I think Devin Haney is one of the top stars right now in boxing.
Look,
if not Tank Davis, definitely Devin Haney, because he's
Garden a couple of years ago. I don't know if you were there. It was 2 years ago, when Teofimo fought Sandor Martin, and Martin gave him a fight of his life.
Yeah,
he might have lost to Teofimo as well. I thought Martin won that fight.
I thought so too, but they gave it to Teo.
Right.
Yeah.
I was in the main arena. It was in the main arena that for boxing holds 19,000. Okay. There weren't 7,000 people in the arena that night.
Wow.
Teofimo Lopez, the New Yorker, right?
Yeah.
Living now in Vegas, could only draw 7,000 in the main arena. That showed me something. That his popularity dwindled.
And that was his first fight. I think that was his first fight. I mean, I don't know, because the fight before that, the Kambosos fight, was in the theater.
Yeah.
Before Kambosos in the theater.
So they decide to move him into the Garden. All right.
And then after that.
Arena, and it did not work.
Yeah.
It
and
didn't
that's why
work.
They put him in the theater.
Shows that his popularity was dwindling then.
Yep. Okay.
It showed that he's not as marketable as they might think. I have nothing against Teofimo. I think he's very talented. But he's, there are things that have shown, he's disintegrated a little bit. And popularity-wise, I think fans are just getting fed up. We're getting fed up with his antics and his mouth and the takeover and all that stuff.
Yep.
And he's gotten one of those titles at 140. How much longer, I don't know. But, that's another thing about the sport. Go back to what I was saying earlier, guys. These alphabet soup organizations are ruining the sport because some of the average boxing fans and observers of it and writers in the media about it, like myself, we can't name who holds a title for each sanctioning alphabet soup organization. That's a major problem for the sport, and yet that can never be stopped. It won't be prevented from continuing because those sanctioning organizations collect a lot of fees from the fighters and the promoters, and they are responsible for rating these fighters and mandatories and who fights who. There's something wrong with that. How do they resolve it? Been calling I've been calling 20 years, Tom, not to cut you off, to make this point. It's in a totally different story. You could do a whole 3 hours on this.
Yeah.
You need unity. And with the exception of Oscar De La Hoya, who's outspoken about about making the fights for the fans and working with other promoters, which he is spearheading and he's doing, especially with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, and even with Bob Heimer at Top Rank. But you need unity. And the way to do that, you need reform. And the way to do that, you need a national boxing commission, which will never happen because the promoters don't want that. And the sanctioning organizations would be out of business.
Yeah.
And a national boxing governing body will never occur. And the other sports all have commissioners. Criticize them or not, at least there's unity and there's rules and there's reforms.
Yeah.
Okay? But in boxing, that'll never happen.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but it is needed and needed desperately, or the sport is going to continually be, and I think it will continually be, in disarray.
There's no consistency. There's no consistency through the sanctioning bodies. You have a guy like Canelo who's undisputed. That's 4 belts, 4 sanctioning bodies, and they're not listing any mandatory.
Well, that's good that the belts have been unified, and we saw 3 unification titles last year on the calendar that happened. But how many of them are still unified? See, that's another issue.
Yeah.
You can unify, but I guarantee you, Usyk, Alexander, whether they're rematch or not, whoever becomes the so-called unified undisputed won't last long.
Yeah, because if they do a rematch, they're going to strip.
One of the
IBF is definitely going to strip.
There you go again. Now we have to decide who. And until the sport has that, it'll continue to be disarray, confusion, and that's my other point about gearing these novice fans back in because they're tired of this shit. I'm tired of this shit.
We all are, because we don't see the fights that we want.
No, because there's no unity. That's why it's all about the money. That's all it is.
Yeah.
The root of all evil. But I'm looking forward to baseball season. I'll be at opening day at Citi Field Thursday.
Nice.
That's awesome. And then the Yankees a week later. It's my favorite time of year. I'm not going to do as many games as I had in the years. But still, it's a great time of year. And, I'm looking forward to it. I think we're going to have a pretty, interesting season in New York with both teams.
Yeah.
I don't think either team's going to the World Series, but both teams will make the postseason. I think the Mets, with JD Martinez coming in too, it's going to help. It's a matter of that's a good signing. Matter of their pitching, how healthy it's going to be. I feel bad for Dre there because the Nationals are not going nowhere. They'll be in the basement again, and they're young and they're growing and they'll get better. They had their day and they're in those growing pains again. But I think the Mets and Yankees postseason teams. I'll be writing about that.
The Yankees got 2 big injuries right now.
Yeah, that anchor Garrett Cole means a lot to their pitching staff.
And that injury doesn't look too good.
And it doesn't help that we don't know what Nestor Cortez and Carlos Rodon will bring to them because they're coming off injury years and horrible seasons. And who's going to be their first start? I think it's going to be Gil. I think Gil may have a shot at it.
And they got Stroman. They added Stroman.
Stroman to me is going to be consistent and perfect for Yankee Stadium. He's a low ball sinker pitcher, gets the ground ball out.
Yeah.
Which is perfect for them. But they are you have to watch the injuries on the Yankees. LeMahieu's suffering from something now. Rizzo again with something. They said it's not serious. Judge's toe will always be evaluated.
Yeah.
And Stanton might have looked good in spring training, including 3 home runs the other night, but he's injury prone. Tends to maybe with the new physique and maybe he won't get he'll rebound, but I don't think so. I think you're going to see one injury after another again. I hate to be a pessimist with the Yankees, but I do see them. They're not a young team. They're filled in with some youngsters, and you're going to see injuries again. And I think the pitching staff, if one or the other go down again, they're in deep trouble early.
Yeah.
So, but I do see them making a wild card at the end, and as well as the Mets, with the Mets have a lot of question marks with that rotation, even though they look good. There's still question mark. But the big difference with the Mets this year is one thing to look at is Pete Alonso. Will the contract situation settle in on his season? Will it be bothersome to me? He says no, but it bothers every player. Martinez adds a lot to the DH spot that they haven't had in the last few years. It's a big upgrade.
Yeah.
But one thing that's really vital is the bullpen that blew so many games to them last year and even the year before, but more so last year, because Edwin Diaz with that stupid World Baseball Classic was out for the whole year.
I know you're not a fan of that.
No, I'm not, especially that time of year when they play it. But Edwin Diaz is back. He's looked great in the spring. If he keeps that up again, and he has the type of year he had 2 years ago, the Mets are so much better going into the late innings because it could revolve around Ottavino could be the setup or Drew Smith or someone else. They're much better with Edwin Diaz coming out of the bullpen. I'm not going to say he's going to close every game, but he's going to do a great many of them.
Yeah.
So that's their advantage. Their bench is stronger, much stronger. And the youngsters that they got in the trades for Scherzer and Verlander, at some point I expect to see them during the season, but they're not right away. The Mets, to me, are not a World Series team. They're a playoff team. They're going to contend now with J.D. Martinez. That sent the message that they're in it to win this year. How far they go is not to be determined because they are in one of the toughest divisions in the league, that being with the Braves and the Phillies, who they will not overpass or bypass. Though the Phillies are not the same team either. But the Braves are a powerful team, and they'll win another 100 games. Where they go in the playoffs is another story. But I think it's going to be an interesting New York baseball season. And as far as if anyone gets hurt and who gets hurt in the lineup or in the rotation, it's going to happen. And it happens to every team. But I think with these two teams, that's something you're going to look at. That's something something that fans of both teams in New York are going to be looking at. Will they stay healthy and healthy enough to be in the postseason? But the Yankees are not going to have an 82 win season again. It'll be a little more. And the Mets are going to win, I believe, 82 games. So
500 pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, the Yankees, the big concern is the injuries.
But a lot riding on who stays healthy with both.
Yeah, especially the Yankees, and I think Rodon, I really want him to do well this year. Like I'm looking for him to be the anchor of that rotation. Because I'm very nervous about Cole. I think that injury looks very bad.
I think it sounds bad. I think he's not. I talked to a scout the other day who told me that it's a very precarious situation because you're going to have to be very careful with him and not rush him back so fast. And he might be headed to Tommy John. It's inevitable, I think.
It sounds like it. That's why it's
beginnings of it, because we heard so much of that with Jacob deGrom here in New York, and you hear so much that about a pitcher. The minute something comes up with the elbow, or unless it's the shoulder, the elbow, it leads to Tommy John. So he may not come back as soon as people think, and that's going to hurt the Yankees.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I wanted to go over over-unders. I don't think we have time to do this. Maybe we'll do this next Friday. I'll keep the same list, even though 2 games or one or two games will probably be played by next Friday, of course. The Dodgers, obviously, and they played 2 games already. But maybe we'll do this next week, the over-under regular season wins. I always think this is fun to do. I don't know if you remember when Mike and the Mad Dog, they used to do that.
Yeah, and I've never been into that. Oh, I
they used to pick
I got a good friend of mine is this all he does. He wagers on games every day.
Yeah.
With the tournament going on, the NCAA that I've been, I monitor it every year and I love it. I was picking his ear and talking to him all night about the over-unders and the point spreads and why is his team doing that? What is the line on that game? So I have to get his input on it because I'm the last to know.
Well, I don't like to bet on the games, baseball every day. I can't bet baseball, but I think it's fun to pick who you think. If they put the Yankees to win 85 games, You think they're going to win more than 85 or less than 85 games? I think that's pretty fun to do. And then maybe pick, our division winners and stuff like that.
Well, I see like I told you, the Yankees will win over 85.
85.
Yeah, they're not going to go through what they went through last year unless the injuries pile up, and the other thing is,
they're at 91.5, the over-under.
What does that mean?
That means, well, if you could take the over 91.5, you win. If you bet the over, or you can bet the under 91.5, it's even money for 91.5 over. So that means that they're kind of that. So that's basically the line that they have. And they have the Mets at 81.5. So that's
what does that mean?
That means over under 81 wins, 81.5. That means they win 82 games or more, or 80.
They win more than 82, in my opinion. I believe they'll top last year, and it's added the fact now they got more production in the lineup with JD Martinez and Edwin Diaz coming. I just don't see them losing as many games as they did last year because they have their closer. They could be in a tight game. He'll come in. Diaz is. You got to watch him. I don't think he's going to blow many games again this year. He's healthy.
Well, look at this. The defending champs, the Texas Rangers, they have them at over under 88.5 wins. So that means they think they'll go over 500, but they'll barely get 88, 89 wins.
Oh, they got a pitching problem right now.
Yeah.
And the biggest mistake they made is not re-signing Jordan Montgomery.
Yeah.
Who's still out there. And I don't understand why no team has picked them up yet. The only thing is because this free agency issue in baseball is a mess, So, but Jordan will sign. I don't know who he's going to be with, though. I don't know. But that's the Rangers' dilemma. Their starters are down.
Their lineup is really good. They've
lost a few guys, though. They've lost a few from the World Series team. Not money, but
they still have some good prospects. They got that kid Langford is coming up. He's supposed to be really good.
Yeah.
Wyatt Langford, I believe his name is.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be
in the division, they should easily win it. I mean,
they're in the toughest division, I think.
Yeah, they should win it though.
The Astros and Seattle. Seattle's pretty good.
Yeah,
those are two good teams. That's a tough division.
I'm not high on the Astros.
No,
I'm not high on the Astros again. I'm not. They I got to look, but I know they've lost. They've lost some from the roster, and remember, it's a year without Dusty Baker. Makes a difference.
That's true. That is true.
Without Dusty Baker, I mean, analytics rules the game, but without Dusty Baker, Dusty went against the system a lot.
Yeah,
analytics. So I'm not high on them.
He's an old school manager. That's what they do. Yeah,
I mean, they still have Bergman. They have Altuve. And they still really have a couple of their pitchers are down too, but
they still got Alvarez. They got what is it, Framber Valdez or something? He's still pretty good. Yeah. Javier is still there. He had a bad year last year.
Yeah, but I think again, until they are beat, they are the team
to beat. Yeah, the Texas Rangers. Their line, like I said, their lineup is good. They have their hitting is good. I don't know if they played above their head though. They made a lot of good signings. They got Garcia, who came from St. Louis. He played well. The second baseman shortstop or second Simeon that from Oakland. He played well. So they made a lot of good acquisitions. It's crazy. Their best acquisition last year didn't even play, and that was DeGrom, and they still won the World Series. Go figure.
Yeah, because they had reinforcements. They traded up and they got some good reinforcements, but
and they're young. They got the third baseman Jung, who's pretty good.
Yeah. And then teams don't have to win 85 games to get in the World Series no more.
That's true. And I think they got in as a wild card.
Yeah, and so did the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
A young, aggressive team, a team that you got to watch again in the National League. Yeah. I mean, there's been so much movement in free agency, minus the late signings of some of the big guys that Scott Boras has, but so much movement. the complexion of teams changes and will change more at the trade deadline at the end of July.
Yeah,
You
like
know,
it always does.
teams always change, make a move that they're in it. They know they can win it and they'll go out. And that pertains here in New York. If the Mets are in range of anything and they need help, they'll do it. That is where Pete Alonso comes in, the equation with Alonso. But I don't see Pete Alonso out of New York this year or anytime soon. They'd be fools if they don't re-sign him. They got the money to do it. And the question
They have
is,
the owner to do it.
of course, he's got the money.
Yeah,
That's why I think the Mets would be in line to get Juan Soto for next year. They'll have the money to do it, which would be interesting. I don't think the Yankees will have the money unless they work some deal out with Scott Boras. I don't see Juan Soto being a Yankee next year. I could see him forcing down, being with the Mets.
it could be. He's got the best agent in the game.
Do you
Who's
pay him?
probably the worst person in the world, but
How much do you pay him? $500 million? I mean, I think Steve Cohen would do it if
I think he would.
get him to the World Series, but Steinbrenner is not going to do that.
No. But
No.
do the Mets sign? Do they get Soto and they re-sign Alonso?
Yeah, they'll have the money to do it. Why
Yeah.
not? They can do it. But the thing also with the Yankees, you could pay in if you pay Soto $500 million, Aaron Judge is your captain making less money. That don't look good, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't. You're right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll probably continue this next Friday. Maybe we'll do the over-unders. Maybe we'll make our
Tom,
baseball
when I
predictions.
come on with you, it'll be my pleasure, and I'm going to have you on my show too. And we'll talk boxing on Keep It in the Ring.
Absolutely.
We're live. It's usually Wednesday night live, and we'll try and people can get me at Facebook, Rich Mancuso, X, formerly Twitter, Ring 786, and on YouTube, my channel. Subscribe to it, Rich Mancuso. So tune in Wednesday night. It's usually 7 p.m. live now, so we'll see where it goes. All right.
All right, Rich. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming and giving us your baseball expertise.
Well, look.
My baseball's not as good as it used to be. I got to get back on it. I mean, I got a fantasy
job. But there were many that know more than me, but never was an expert. But I think I have some knowledge. I would still be doing what I'm doing. 23 years. Be nice meeting you. We'll talk again. We'll have a drink one day and hope your Commanders make the right moves.
Where'd he go? D Free?
Yeah. Is he still there?
He just dropped off. I don't know what he just dropped. Sometimes he'd be in a bad area, but
no, I put him to a sleep like I do with a lot.
No, he was there. He was listening, and he was in the chat too. So
give my best to Socrates, Tom. I gotta go. We'll be in touch, and I'll have you on the program soon. All right.
All right, you got it, Rich. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Keep it in the ring. Talk. All right.
All right, Rich.
Thanks, buddy. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. You guys have been killing me in this chat, man. You guys are hilarious, man. Oh my god. Where did this start? Let me guess. A1. You guys are absolutely killing me, and I don't know how I kept a straight face. I just couldn't look at the chat anymore because y'all guys are the worst, the absolute worst. I got a few minutes if y'all want to come up here and talk some shit, but yo, you guys. Shelton's begging for Will to help him out, and Will just left him high and dry. He said no shot, but oh man, and then Frontline. I almost gave Frontline the super wrench, but then I didn't want him to time people out, and then people would not be able to come back in. So it would have been funny though, but because Shelton got me today. He timed me out a couple of times. He timed me out today, and I think he timed me out the other day somewhere. I don't know what channel it was, but you got one coming, Mr. Shelton. I promise you got one coming. I'm gonna get you. So, but yeah, guys, I really got nothing else. I wanted to do a little bit more baseball with Rich and Sock. We were supposed to do some pick'ems today, but Sock couldn't make it. But maybe next Friday, maybe I'll call on during the week. I want to do quick. I got to get up early tomorrow. I'm going to Long Island tomorrow with my daughter and my wife to check out the Stony Brook college. So yeah, that's it. I'm not even doing the radio this weekend with Pedro. So yeah, we're focusing more on that. So been busy with work and stuff, but But yeah, I appreciate everybody that came through, whether you came on my channel or D Freeze channel. I appreciate you guys. I don't. It looks like nobody's gonna pop up in here, so I'm gonna end the live. And yeah, you're, I know that's one of the things, and definitely in the area. But the campus is pretty secure. But you're right. There's a lot. Is in that area. There is a lot of MS-13, but we should be fine. So I think after that we're gonna go to UConn in a few weeks and check out UConn. So it's between those two schools. So whichever does best to kind of swool her in, and obviously give her the most in scholarship. That will be the one she probably chooses. That fits for her. So yeah, front line is it's crazy because UConn. I like Syracuse basketball, right? So UConn has always been like one of the teams I hated the most back in the Big East days. And, so now she goes to UConn. I already asked her, hook me up with tickets. She already told me no shot because, my daughter's like me. She's mean. But, yeah. So go figure. One of the teams I hated the most besides Duke is UConn. And she may go to UConn. So, but that's all I got, guys. You guys are killing it. Roscoe Jenkins. This guy. Half blood, half crit. What the fuck is going on? All right, man. I think I'm done. Nobody's coming up. I don't think, right? A1, y'all kicked up. Oh man. Yo, A1 does that to everybody, man. You got to see what he does to me. Yo, he gets everybody. Look like it deflated the rock. Yeah, you're an asshole. I'm done. I'm signing out. I'm playing the little stupid jingle. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys. You guys are entertaining. Thank you. I'll see y'all when I see y'all. See you on the nearest chat near you or whatever. Later.